Thank you for joining Wars of the Rosies. And this is God's Opportunities by the Imperator, AMORC. An article from Rosicrucian Digest, Volume 11, Number 1, February 1933. God's Opportunities by the Imperator, AMORC. It has been said that in man's extremities, God finds his opportunities. And we recall that Sir Walter Scott expresses the same idea in his first canto of the Lord of the Isles, in the words, "In man's most dark extremity, oft succor dawns from heaven." We all recall the incidents of life when those who have suddenly found themselves in dire predicament lift their hands to the high heavens and call upon God or the angels for assistance or relief, even though at other times in their lives they almost wholly ignore the existence of God and his heavenly kingdom. Many of us have witnessed the sudden and insincere conversion from religious indifference to cosmic appeal when there seems to be no other help available. We need not take time to discuss the efficacy of prayers and appeals made to God only in emergencies and only when every other source of help has been honored by previous appeal. Such reasoning would lead us probably to the false conclusion that God and the cosmic will deny an appeal made in such circumstances. The truth of the matter, however, is that in such extremities and in such circumstances, God finds his opportunities to demonstrate his universal love, mercy, and justice, and thereby proves that his judgment and wisdom are superior to man's conclusions and in no wise affected by the emotional impulses or reasoning reactions of the earthly nature. What I do wish to emphasize, however, is the fact that God does find in our extremities and in our great perplexities an opportunity to prove his omnipotence and his sublime wisdom, and through such opportunities reveal to us the magnitude of his understanding and the power of his divine rule. I cannot say that God seeks opportunity to prove to the unthinking mind that he is supreme merely for the sake of removing any degree of indifference from the minds of those who choose to be indifferent to the many forms of testimony easily found by the unbiased mind. But God does seek constantly and in every possible way to reveal to the beclouded mind and to the sinful nature the errors of a sinful life and the mistakes of ignorance. In my many years of close observation and study of the problems of mankind, and in many of my dealings with God and the cosmic through prayer, meditation, and concentration, I have seen remarkable manifestations of God's great privileges and prerogatives. I have seen intersection and his kindly interest miraculously dissolve mountainous problems and obstacles into mere ripples, such as are seen upon the wind-blown plains of the desert where the sand lies almost as smooth as water for extensive distances. I have seen the decisions of man and men individually and united, changed as in the twinkling of an eye, through some invisible, intangible, yet powerful influence that has swept through their consciousness and made their decisions of earthly law or conventional custom seem erroneous and unfit. I have seen the incurable and the doomed, the abandoned and forsaken, suddenly raised from the bed of death to the glory of health. I have seen scars disappear, birthmarks fade in their color, blind eyes opened with light, dumb tongues moved with speech, all in an instant by the magic touch of God's interest when he has found in the instance an opportunity to reveal himself understandingly to the heart of men. Unfortunately, men doubt the possibility of God's intersection to this extent and thereby walk in darkness and ignorance as to the sublime power that waits to serve them. Too often men judge the power of God by the powers of man. We may be excused if in our childish manner we contemplate the being of God by visualizing him in the stature of his earthly images. But we cannot be excused for assuming that the powers of God are of the nature and bound by the laws of the powers of man. Some say this cannot be, because, forsooth, it is contrary to natural law. Others say God cannot do this because his divinely created laws have continuously proclaimed otherwise. Then again, some say God has ruled that his laws shall be immutable, and he can make no exceptions in the form of a miracle. Those who speak in this manner speak as experts in the law and bear witness to the human understanding of earthly laws, and know not of God's laws. At best, the wisest of man's scientists know but a fragment of nature's laws and comprehends but a fraction of the laws that operate continuously and eternally in the universe. The laws that man has observed and set forth as immutable are but few, and in no wise warrant the belief that there are no other laws in operation, because certain elementary and easily observed principles are constantly repeated and uniformly made manifest throughout their entire earthly existence. It's no reason to suspect that they are the only laws in operation, and that there are no divine laws and principles which neutralize them or modify them in extreme cases, without any violation of fundamental principles. In one of the early lectures of our work, this point is brought home to us very clearly. We take the universal belief that water quenches fire, and that water and fire are incompatible, and that water cannot cause fire, or foster fire, or increase and mature fire, let alone create fire. Yet this mistaken idea is quickly removed by a simple demonstration that is made in our temples, where the purest of drinking water is poured into the crucible, and the water gives forth fire and light, and additional water brings forth more fire and flame. This application of a little-known principle does not constitute either an exemption to the principle that in most cases water will destroy fire, nor does the demonstration prove that there is a second law that neutralizes the first, for both laws are independent of each other and act in their own way without contradiction of a single fundamental principle. Ignorance begets doubt while wisdom fosters faith. Let us ever realize that in our extremities and in our moments of dire need, God finds opportunities to make himself manifest and to prove to the comprehending mind the laws still unrevealed to us, while through the demonstration of them we find reason for greater faith and greater trust in his supreme love and mercy. The second alcove. The month of February constitutes the second alcove in our journey through the year, and by consulting the ancient records as well as modern ones, we find that certain characters were associated with this alcove, as were certain conditions of life, not in a purely astrological sense, but based upon observation of people and conditions. The ancients associated characters and conditions with these alcoves of the year. With the ancients, the journey through the alcoves began in April, while with us the journey begins with January. But the characters and conditions of each month are the same, whether we begin in the middle of the present year or at any other time. The alcove of February was devoted to religion, while that of January was devoted to statesmanship. The ancients and modern mystics associated certain characters with these alcoves or months, regardless of their month of birth, the association being upon the basis of their achievements and mission in life. Those associated with this alcove were such persons as Menes, Gautama or Buddha, Zoroaster, Mohammed, Isaiah, Numa, Saint Teresa, Madame Guyon, Fenelon, Tully, Thomas à Kempis, Saint Augustine, Saint Francis, Saint Bernard, Loyola, Abelard, and Heloise, Calvin, Luther, Swedenborg, William Penn, Anne Lee, Wellington Booth, Felix Adler, Wesley. All agree, however, that the month of February is more truly spiritually represented by the great characters of Jesus and Paul. By studying the lives of some of these persons and meditating upon what they accomplished in life, one will easily understand the great influence of this alcove, or the month of February, upon the general activities of universal mind and human nature. We may well anticipate, therefore, that during the month of February, matters which were dealt with by the foregoing eminent characters will have their yearly peak of interest and advancement in all parts of the world. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Rosies. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.